Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome back to another episode on the Speak Sense podcast with me, Osama Musa, Muslim Amir. And today I have a guest who will blow your minds, pardon the pun, because we have the founder of Beyond Seven Figure Mindset, who is a mindset coach, my dear brother, all the way from the Netherlands, Mr. Osman Okumus. Ahlan wa sahlan. Good to have you here. Absolutely amazing. Woo! I can't wait to dive into this episode today and pick your brains about mindset and your journey, inshallah. So welcome for being here.
Thank you. Wa alaikum salam. I'm excited and happy to be here. What an intro. I like it. That's doing good. Thank you very much for having me on here.
No problem. So let's begin. Bismillah wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah. So first question is, tell us a little bit about yourself and your journey so far.
Gladly. So I'm Osman Okumus, 32 years old. I'm Turkish, but I live in the Netherlands. I moved to Netherlands when I was 9 because of my dad's job. He's an international truck driver. But I speak well Turkish. I grew up the first 9 years in Turkey. When I was 16, I was interested in mindset, energy work because of the cartoon Dragon Ball Z. It got me interested in all the what's beyond human mind's possibility. And when I was 16, a lady from the USA, she started teaching me hypnosis. She started talking about mindset. And what I did is nonstop self-research and looking at places to qualify myself as I was sporadic. I was looking at any research, biology, chemistry, psychology, everything, but I never pushed through because I had imposter syndrome. So for those who out there who don't know what they want to do, I had imposter syndrome and I questioned Allah, what I'm going to do. And I had to rely on my faith a lot because you can't see the future. And if you're like me, who wants to do everything, but not too long on one thing, I understand you. It's a challenge.
MashaAllah. So from Turkey to the Netherlands, so there's migration there as well. A new country, new surroundings, new language, new culture. So MashaAllah, that must have obviously been challenging, especially at that sort of age where, you're just getting, let's say, comfortable at 9-10 years old, when you're just starting to get comfortable with your surroundings, you're starting to really understand life, you're starting to really build those connections with friends and stuff. So, going from a Muslim country in Turkey, and obviously we know that Turkey is open to all different beliefs and ways of life, but it's essentially a Muslim country, and obviously having that Muslim background, now moving over to the Netherlands, what was that transition like for you?
At that moment, I did not realize, but looking back in my life, I realized it was a traumatic event as for the young mind. I was a popular kid. I had, let's say, 20, at least 20 friends. Every day we played and there was this flourishing life. And I suddenly got taken out, brought to a country I don't know. And the place we came to, every houses looked the same. So I don't know if it's the same where you are, but every house looked the same. So when you go out, in the first 6 months, we got lost a lot because everything looked the same. I didn't speak the language for the first year. And the person who helped me put me in an all-white school. I'm not trying to be racist, but let's say there were 200 kids. There were 10 foreigners. And from the 10 foreigners, there were like 3 like what they considered Arabic. It was me, an Iranian girl, and someone from Pakistan. Nobody spoke any Turkish and Arabic, nothing. I mean, even myself didn't speak it. So I went from flourishing, playing and talking nonstop to being forced to not being able to communicate, not go outside to play. That was the early years of the impact.
That sounds very challenging. And, like what you said there is a key word. You didn't realize it was a traumatic event till now when you reflect back. especially going from this social butterfly, this social outgoing personality, always socializing with friends, to all of a sudden now you're isolated. Even sometimes maybe feeling lost because, like you said, it all looks the same. So it's like you feel like you're in some like virtual reality. Like you're locked into a Roblox game or something. And subhanAllah, that I can only imagine the sort of challenges that you and your family had to overcome, especially your parents. It's not easy for them either. And now as adults, we can understand the pain that they may have gone through as well, and the sacrifices that all of you had to make. So that, and like, I was trying to kind of pick up on this one point as well, that you said that it was only you and two other sort of ethnic minority families in the region. So what was it like growing up in the West as a Muslim, trying to withhold your iman, but obviously not having that environment or surrounding where you had like access to a lot of the ethnic background communities or the masajid, let's say? So what was that like for you growing up?
It was tough. It felt lonely a lot of times because simply when you're having a lunch, like in Turkey, like in Muslim culture, it's normal to hand a piece of what you're eating to a friend. And so when I was eating, let's say, a sandwich, and my mom would put something different than cheese, and they're like, "Oh, what are you eating?" I'm like, "Here, taste." And then they would want to give me something, but it had like ham in it, or I had like, "Is this cooked with pork?" Or like, there was this always questioning about food. And one day, all the friends, like all the Dutch, were playing together. They would always go connect after school. And one time, a kid, his name's Kevin, he said, "We want to invite you, but we don't know if it's allowed from your religion." I was like, huh? Like back then, now I'm 32. Back then I was like, I don't know, 10, 11. Their concern was they did not know if it was allowed in my religion to play with them. And I thought they were just ignoring me. They didn't want me because I was like an outsider. And sometimes I think we as Muslims, if we don't communicate what we are as a Muslim or what we can as a Muslim, like a lot of people know, oh, you don't eat pork, you don't drink alcohol. They know all these like famous things that we cannot do. But the more minor details, what's for them is minor, but for us important, they don't know. And if we don't educate our immediate friends, they're going to go on based on their assumption. So I had to educate my friends. And I think for the Muslims who are listening, for the brothers and sisters, I kind of like this is no disrespect to everyone outside, but I like to be friends with non-Muslims because of the way they acted. I had Muslims friends, but they were really, really, for whatever reason, nationalistic. I was like, you're living in a different country. You're not back in your homeland. You're actually in a different country. You're a foreigner, I'm foreigner. But they would segment themselves in their group. It's like, oh, you're Turkish, you're going to be Turkish. You're Afghan, you're going to be Afghan. Is it you're from Iraq, you're going to be from... Like they had these own groups. And I was like, dude, you're in a foreign country. You're Muslim, I'm Muslim. Why don't we make a bigger group, right?
Actually, you just hit a very important point there. But before I tackle that point, I just want to highlight the subhanAllah, what's the word I'm looking for? It's like the beauty and the honesty and the authenticity in children, where they're like, I didn't know if we can play with you in your religion, so I didn't know if I can invite you. That innocence, subhanAllah, it's not, racist because they don't know what racism is yet. To be racist means to hate, and they don't, children don't naturally have that, so it just goes to show that. And then coming back to this point about the Muslims separating, subhanAllah, when Islam was at its peak was because we were all under the same umbrella of Islam, not I'm Farsi, I'm Turkish, I'm Arabic, I'm African, I'm Indian, I'm Asian. We were Muslims, and that connected us and made us one. But what's ended up happening was obviously in the modern day, we're all very nationalistic, like you said, and very patriotic to our country, not to our religion. So we love our country more than we love our religion. We say I'm Palestinian before I say I'm Muslim. I'll say I'm Turkish before I say I'm Muslim. I'll say I'm Afghani before I say I'm Muslim. And therefore, you become connected with your culture more than your religion. And now you don't want people outside of your culture connecting with you. And I think this is something that is, unfortunately, damaging the brotherhood in some regions of the world. Like you said, in Netherlands, maybe because in England, for example, we're very multicultural. So, the masajid will be Pakistani, Indian, Arab, Turkish, Kurdish, African. We have all mixes, right? And because obviously in the UK it's maybe more multicultural than other areas, these sort of cultures have to intertwine. They're saying that even within these communities, even if it's flourishing in that sense, you still have that challenge of the different cultures mixing together. And I think, may Allah make it easy for the Ummah. And I think over time it will become easier. And, as the ayah says in the Quran, that Allah created us from different tribes to get to know one another, and different cultures. So, alhamdulillah for that. Now, I want to just take it back to the young Osman, or Uthman, if we want to say it the proper way. And I want to know, what did you aspire to be when you were older? Obviously, you had Dragon Ball Z as a big influence in your life, and anime plays a big part in a lot of people's lives these days. And what we watch and what we listen to impacts it. But what did you want to be when you grew up?
Brilliant question, and I need to give a little bit of background story for your audience to understand me better, and maybe they can relate to what I'm telling. When I was in Turkey, when I was 8, 9, I wasn't thinking of becoming what. I was just playing, being present. And when I moved to a new country, for some people, this move might be to a different neighborhood. This might be to a different city. So it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be a different country. For me, it was a different country, and I became, like you said, from social butterfly to an introvert because I didn't speak the language. I had no one around me, and my parents were like, "You can't go outside, even if it's like the backyard, to play because we don't know. You might get kidnapped." There's a lot of overprotection, and Muslim parents are overly protecting. And when you overly protect your child does not learn how to fall. So later on in life, in social environments, when they do fall, they emotionally feel the damage harder than someone who is used to, and they close. So for brothers and sisters, go be social in a halal way and learn to grow, because that's what you need in the end. So
just to cut you up, just at that point, I watched a video from the other day from Jordan Peterson saying you should always let your children play in controlled environments, even if it's dangerous. So if you see them jumping on the sofa and they're on the edge of the sofa where they could fall off, that's a controlled environment where it's still safe, but it's dangerous, if that makes sense. So in that controlled environment, let them play, because they could end up learning from how to not fall, or if they do fall, how to get back up, or learning from this experience that this actually may lead to a danger. So in the future, I now know not to come to the edge of the sofa and play and stand and do silly things. So, and because my mom's a parenting coach as well, that what you just said is very important. Let your children go out and even get dirty. Let them have germs. Let them build their immune system. Let them build these sort of social skills where once you overprotect your children, once they go out into the real world, it's a complete shock to the system, right? Because the real world is not their perception of reality is not what reality is, because they've been in this bubble. So yeah, sorry, continue. I just thought I'd add that in there.
No, like what you said, that's what I exactly mean. But we're in a digital age, and the algorithm, even if you are not watching certain content, it gets served in your face. And our kids are curious. Like I have 1-year-old daughter, so I cannot speak like I'm a father and a parent. No, I know now, as someone who grew up and watched the digital world grow, that we need to educate our children with questions. So for brothers and sisters, um, I'm very lucky because when I was 16, I questioned the deen and I went on a research to look into every other religion that existed, all the way back to the first first recorded religion that existed. And I asked myself two questions. Does this make sense? And how does this stand against time? And alhamdulillah, I went through all these phases and research and time, and what I came back is, okay, Islam is the true religion.
You know,
And it took me a 4 year.
That question, the second question is how does it stand with time, is super powerful actually, and it's something that my dad, because I asked him that, I was like, how can we, you know, some of the things may be outdated in Islam compared to, you know, one of my dad was like, no, look in the Quran, look in all the things that the religion teaches you. It's the only, it adapt, you can, time adapts to the Quran. Quran doesn't adapt to the time, right? You can utilize all the lessons in Islam in any period of life, in any time, in any context, you know, subhanAllah. So, you know, and the fact that you did that at 16, you said 16?
Yes.
MashaAllah, you know, that's amazing, because that's an age where a lot of people tend to want to experience the fruits of the dunya, let's say. And, you know, for you to do that at 16 is amazing. So just to get back to the question. So what was it that you aspired to be? So for you to obviously go on this journey, what was your inclination? Like, what was you envisioning that you wanted to work as or study, or what was your vision?
A lot of things. I wanted to be, but specifically related to mind. I wanted to become a psychiatrist. Then I wanted to become a clinical therapist, neuroscientist, neurosurgeon. Then something became about, there was years ago research, it got banned, where they did research on connecting the mind with digital devices. But this was like very early on. So that I was all interested in all of that, but I never took the step to go there because I was held back by my own limited beliefs. I said, oh, what are you going to be, a neurosurgeon? You're a foreigner. You barely speak. Who are you? Who do you think you are? So funny enough is we have that question in our culture more than the Western people do. It's a very powerful question the elders ask to younger kids when they try something and they don't align with that. Who are you? Who do you think you are? That's such disempowering question to ask someone who's trying to pursue their dreams. So I end up not following any of that. I got certificate. I went into IT network, IT business consulting, and at the end I worked as an IT cybersecurity consultant. But I studied and took courses from Stanford, MIT, and I completed them, but I never did press the button to get the certificate.
No way.
I did. I went through those things, and it was amazing to see how they think. It was amazing to see how it compares to my religion. So for those who are out there who are like, for whatever reason, scared to do because they think little of themselves, still keep doing it. Years later, you're gonna make use of it. That's what I did.
That's amazing, bro. That's amazing. And I think it's amazing how you've actually done a full circle and come back to doing what you originally wanted to do, or in the field of what you wanted to sort of get into, which is the mindset space and the neuro space and the brain. And obviously I see your content and we've been in each other's network for almost a year, I think. And, you know, you have tons of value, mashallah. So anyone that's watching this that wants help with their mindset, I think, you know, you're doing some great things there. Now, inshallah, alhamdulillah, we got to know a little bit about you in detail, and that's really exciting. And alhamdulillah, I think it's very beneficial for us to know these things, because then that sets us up great for the next phase of this interview, where we want to dig and dive into the business element now. Obviously, you're the founder of a mindset business where you coach people on their mindset and help them develop and get better results. And I've seen some of the reviews from the people you've worked with, and obviously you've changed their life and transformed them in ways that, may Allah accept your efforts. So what's been your biggest achievement in business so far?
I said, as I said early, I started when I was 16. At 16, my first achievement, that was my biggest achievement. It was a suicidal lady who had 3 special needed daughters. And she said, Osman, I want to take my life, but the only reason I'm not doing it is because I have my 3 princesses. And if I die, nobody will look after them. I worked with her for 3 or 4 months. And she called me up one day, happy, crying, and insulting me. I was confused. Like, you're happy, you're crying, and you're insulting me. What's going on? And she said, I'm baking brownies for my daughters. I was like, that's such a natural thing. What's going on? She says, I wanted to bake brownies because that's their favorite for 4 years, but I never had the willpower or the energy to do it. And from then on, Bismillah, Allah made me the person to help other people preventing from suicide. I had one war veteran who did 4 tours to Middle East, who hated Muslims. And he's like, if I see a Muslim, I'm going to kill them on spot because they killed my teammates. And I helped him, did 1 session with him. After the 1 session, he's like, Osman, dude, because of you, my whole view on Muslims changed. That there is my biggest, preventing, helping someone to not commit suicide and having that one person change his view on the whole Muslims.
Bro, I'm gonna lie, that taps my heart. The story of the mum with the 3 kids. That's amazing. The fact that you're having that much of an impact on people, it's amazing. And I really, not envy you in I love that achievement for you. I think it's amazing, to have that sort of impact. And I think for you, that must be so motivational. And, in the sense of, the fact that you have the power to impact someone to that extent, where now 3 children out there are, still have their mother thanks to you. You can only think what would have happened if she did commit, and 3 kids with disability needs, and it's amazing what you're doing. And honestly, mashallah, that's fantastic. And obviously on the other story where you've managed to help somebody, it's actually ironic, because if he hated Muslims, the fact that he used you, did he not know you were a Muslim at the time before speaking to you, or how did that happen?
I kept that hidden on purpose until we had our first session. In the middle of the session, he got ambushed. I mean, it's a sad thing. He's like, I don't know why I even went there to fight. The only reason me and most of my body went there to fight was for money, because we had no education and we needed money. Army was paying good. So the people that are going there, there's not like happy camping for them either. They go because they needed the money. But I also help, I don't want to make this too dramatic, too emotional, but I also help business owners double their income within for some within a week, for some was within 4 weeks. And the reason I moved from emotional healing people to more business focused is because I want to build my own orphanage. I was, like I said, I was a cybersecurity consultant, was paying well, but I thought, listen, if I want to build orphanage in the next 5 years, saving on an IT job, trying to build is not going to help me. I need to jump into coaching, start charging certain price, but I only will charge that price if the person across me is at least getting it doubled back and emotionally healed. So that's also what I focused on. And what people who are thinking of starting business, or maybe are business owners, some of us are really afraid to send a message to say, hey, I know you need my services. Are you willing to talk about it? Because they're shy, they're afraid of rejection. And if we don't do what we need to do, we're not going to save lives. We're not going to make other people's lives easier. I had Chris, he's Australian. Well, this is a little bit example and a promotion. I'm sorry for that. I'm going to keep it short.
That's fine. Promote yourself.
But what Chris did, he was a successful coach for agency owners, but he was afraid to expand his business because he didn't want to take another person's life's responsibility. He's like, if I fail, that person that I hired is not going to be able to put food on the table, and it's my fault. He didn't want to take that responsibility to grow. A lot of us have different challenges as a business owner. We're not immune to that. And sometimes you just need different perspective, mindset shift. And if you struggle for years to fix it and it's not working, do yourself a favor, learn self-hypnosis. You don't need me or Tahajjud. Wake up for Tahajjud, you don't need self-hypnosis. If you wake up for Tahajjud and you speak your heart out, I mean, inshallah, many of us have experience when you're truly waking up for what you want and praying for what you want, you're gonna get better. You want an A, you're gonna get A plus. So for the people, use religion, use mindset, have a business strategy. Some of us are just praying but not doing the work. We should be doing the work and praying. That's our booster. I mean, that's where I want to leave it now.
Jazakallah khair. I think that is a great piece of advice. And, you know, as Muslims, that's something we should always aspire to do, is these prayers that we know have such a big impact on us. We need to try our absolute best to be able to do them. And especially in, you know, for us in the European countries, in the winter, you know, it becomes so much easier to do these things. Obviously in the summer it's very challenging. You have a 4-hour window and you struggle to sleep, and let alone, but in the winter, definitely try and make the most of the tahajjud. Try and make the most of it. If you can do it in the summer as well, do it. If you can do it every day, do it. You know, as the deen tells us, الدعاء سلاح المؤمن, supplication, dua is the weapon of a believer. And what better time to do it than tahajjud? Or if you miss tahajjud and you can't be waking up at night, then the last hour on a Friday before Asr and Maghrib is also the Sa'at al-Istijaba, where Allah answers your prayers. So make the most of it. And don't forget to also put the work in. I think that is super important, and people forget this. They just make dua and sit and wait. Now go out and look and try and knock on doors, and inshallah, may Allah make it easy for all of us. So we've now spoke about some of the amazing achievements that you've had. And obviously now you said you focused on the business mindset and trying to improve people's work and lives through business and their mindset in business, which is amazing. What would you say has been your biggest challenge so far?
I'm going to be very vulnerable and open and honest. I never stopped doing the mindset coaching. I started at 16 and I had this long struggle of imposter syndrome. That was my biggest challenge, which prevented me from becoming a full-time coach. And I was very good at the IT job that I was doing, but my heart, my mind, I was always trying to look for ways to start my own business. And one of the mistakes that I made was I put my prayers as second. So this is more of, I had no systems. If you pray 5 times a day, and you try to pray on time, it gives your body, your mind a system.
True.
And that system, you can use that because you're familiar with system, your mind is familiar with system, so you can easily build another system. But whenever I put my religion as second, my job, my education would suffer. And when I put my religion as first, things would start to flourish, balance. First thing, I would feel emotionally calmer. I never took medicine, so I can't compare to people who did medicine, who needed medicine, but I never took. But when I prayed on time, I was more calm. And going back, it's really the imposter syndrome that prevented me from promoting and reaching out to help people. What am I currently struggling with? Currently struggling with paid ads. I got brother Ibrahim. We're doing certain tests to see what works best, text, video, on which platform, to help more people with their mindset, inshallah.
Inshallah, may Allah make it easy for you. And you know, imposter syndrome, for those that don't know, is basically where you feel like you're in a place that you shouldn't be or you don't deserve to be. So you feel like an imposter, someone who's in somewhere that they shouldn't be, due to maybe, for example, in your field of work, where maybe you're too young, you lack the knowledge, you maybe lack the expertise, lack the experience. But in fact, at 16, you were already doing great things, helping transform people's lives. And I was speaking to someone the other day, and he was telling me that his sales coach is 18, but is helping him get amazing results in sales. So it actually just goes to show that maybe, not maybe, your age doesn't reflect the skill set that you may have, right? And it's something completely natural to feel like an imposter syndrome. I think everyone goes through it. I go through it sometimes. I'm like, if I'm going into a 7-figure business or an 8-figure business trying to teach them on leadership, sometimes I'm like, wow, is that really, am I the best person for this role? But it's that thing of the mindset. It's like, yes, of course I am. I have the skill set. I know that I'm good enough. And, it's fighting that mental battle on a daily basis. Okay, bro. So, mashallah, you told me you're 32, right?
Yes.
May Allah give you many more years of barakah. And if there's one piece of advice that you would love to give yourself at 20, so go back to a 20-year-old man, what would be the advice you would give him?
I would say seek refuge in Allah and pray for courage. And the reason seek refuge for Allah is because we often forget, like, we're more afraid of the teacher who's going to fail us the class than we're afraid of Allah. And I mean, I went through that, and sometimes I still struggle. May Allah make my iman stronger, all of us. When you seek refuge in Allah, you're going to get things that you need right now, but you don't know. That's the beauty of it. When I go to another human, he's going to help me with mindset. He's going to help me with sales. He's going to help me with closing or building a business, but he doesn't know me and what I need more than that. And personally, for myself, I said courage, because I think, maybe 10 years later, I'm going to think differently, but I needed back then courage to stand for what I am. Sometimes, I hope none of us is going through this, but I think sadly a lot of us. There was time when I was 20 to 24, I was not proud to be Muslim because the people around me who were displaying what Muslim meant didn't line up with the Islam. And the people around me, dude, you're this and they're this. Is this Islam too? So that's I think we all have challenges, and we should start improving ourselves.
I think that's sound advice. I think I'm blown away by that, because seek refuge in Allah and ask for courage. That's amazing. To be able to think like that. Like, I like your thinking here, because being courageous allows you to open avenues and doors that you never thought you could open, right? Because all of us have ideas. It's about the courage to actually take the first step to make that idea a reality. So I think that's amazing advice. And I think, if anybody watching this that might have some fears or have doubts or anything like that about anything, whether it's religion, whether it's business, whether it's your career, whether it's education, whether it's marriage. Be courageous enough to ask the questions, be courageous enough to look for the answers, be courageous enough to, find the right avenue for you, and so on and so forth. I think it's super important. And regarding religion, I think we all, Iman is a roller coaster. Some days our Iman is super high, some days it's not as high. And I think what we need to do, I think, it's very important to ask questions, to seek the truth in the answers. And even if you're having a spell or a period of time where you have your doubts, just don't give up. We all go through periods, and especially in that sort of 16 to 25 period where you're still learning about yourself, you're still learning about life, who you want to be, the kind of habits you're trying to instill in your life. And it's completely natural to go on this journey of, doubt, and asking those kind of questions about Islam and the creator of the universe and all of this. It's completely natural. So don't feel like you're isolated or you're on your own if you're having these emotions and you're watching this, And you can even reach out to me or Osman, inshallah, if you have anything you want to ask us, and if we can help you, we'll be more than happy to help you. Coming back to your business now, what's one business tip you'd like to give our audience? Someone who may want to try start a business, or someone who's an established business owner. What's one tip you'd give them regarding business?
I want them to think long term. The reason for that is, let's say you want to start selling jewelry, you want to start selling shoes, dresses, whatever it is, the current thing that you want to start right now, do you think you will be doing it 5 years from now, 10 years from now? If you're not, then start something you probably will be doing, because that's going to give you, you're going to be naturally drawn and sticking to it when times get hard. That's what I suggest. And have systems, brother. One thing that inshallah we as Muslims should get better at is systemizing things. There was a Muslim scholar, a Turkish scholar, years ago, back when the Ottoman Empire was, still existed. He went to then visit Europe, and he came back. And the locals asked, how is Europe? And he said, their work ethic is as strong as the Iman is. But their, I forgot if it was their social mindset is as weak or as bad as our work ethic. He says, we're strong in our deen, but we're not strong in work ethic, systemizing. Doing things that we say we will on the time and date that we said. And I think when we as Muslims get that part right, we have something that non-believers do. We do the same work, but we pray, we get more zakat. We can earn more money, even if we don't see it in our bank, we can see it in akhir, inshallah. They don't have it. So first thing, look for long-term and have systems, processes in place, because that's going to help you from feeling overwhelmed, from feeling lost. Those two things, when you have systems and processes in place, you're going to be less likely to be overwhelmed, to be lost, and to question where you're heading.
Completely agree with that. And it's something that I coach people on. Obviously, when you're dealing with companies, you need to have systems in place. And I think it's super important having a system in place. And like you said, thinking long term, it's always good, because if you have a long-term vision, you know what you're working towards, and that allows your day-to-day actions become more powerful, more structured. And especially if you have a system in place, it's super important. And actually, the most successful people, most successful businesses in the world have systems and processes in place, so that they know in this situation, 1, 2, 3 needs to happen. In this situation, 4, 5, 6 needs to happen. And, knowing what to do along the way and which steps to take. And I think that is super important. And I think that's super amazing. And speaking of systems, Do you have a sort of a morning routine or an evening routine or a midday routine, something that you do consistently that helps your day take shape and form?
Yes, and one thing that I always try to do is show up. It's my own business, so I can decide when I show up. But I made the agreement with myself, no matter what I do, at 5 p.m., every day, 5 p.m., I'm going to show up for the business and work at least half hour to an hour on the things that I'm not willing or that I'm putting off.
I think that's an amazing strategy that all business owners might have to take on board. I think that is amazing because there's many things that we put off, man. I honestly, because not every part of our business do we enjoy doing. Let's be honest.
Exactly.
Certain things we're just not good at or we don't like. So I think that's an amazing tactic. I might have to use that with myself in the future. Inshallah, that's amazing. Okay, bro, that's great. Very quickly then, what? No, not very quickly. Actually, you can take as long as you want answering this question because this is going to be the one piece of value that you would like to leave our audience with. That is, let's say the Uthman diamond or the gem from Uthman today that you would like to leave our audience with.
Yes. And before I explain, I want to emphasize the impact. I started at 16. I questioned the dean. I did a lot of research. I adored and almost idolized very successful people. I read their biography. I look at what is their system. What are they doing? All of them wake up before 5 a.m. and start their day. I'm like, what? It's easy. I'm going to do it. I spent 2 years trying to wake up for 5 a.m. But I understood it's not the time that you wake up, but it's what you do as soon as you wake up. So what you do when you wake up decides your hormonal balance in your mind. If you wake up, if you went to bed stressing for whatever reason, you're going to wake up feeling stressed. And if you grab your phone, then you start to compare yourself, or you read the emails, or you read the text. Hormonally, your mind is pumping certain stuff that's ready, that's getting you ready to fight, but there's nothing to fight. So when you wake up, take at least 10 minutes to do absolutely nothing but just waking up. And as a Muslim, do a little prayer, man. Do a little prayer. You don't need to go get wudu. If you do, great. To get wudu, do your prayers. But if not, just stand up, be grateful. Do a little grateful, be grateful for your parents, be grateful for where you are, even if you don't like it. I learned that the morning routine is very important. I'm like, yes, I figured it out. But then I realized that those successful people, they say my day, my tomorrow starts the day before, the night before. I'm like, okay, let's see what they're doing. So before they're sleeping, an hour before, no digital device. For some, it's 2 hours. And they would journal their day, how today went, and then what they're going to do tomorrow. And I'm like, yes, this all makes sense. So I'm looking into these Western people. And my dad would be each time, Pats, dude, that's what our Prophet, peace be upon him, is doing. He always says, end your day by reflecting upon it. He would give me the exact hadiths, and I'll be like, Dad, no, I'm trying to learn. But looking back, my dad was right. Everything these Western people, successful people are doing, you can all find that in a religion. So people have made our religion less, but please look at it. It's a hidden gem. It's a gem that Allah gave. And Western people, successful people, are using it without the knowledge that it's coming from Islam, that it's in the Quran, that's in the Hadiths. That's one thing I want to leave everyone. It's the religion is so much more beautiful and impactful if you look to it and live to it. Am I perfect? Am I following all? No. May Allah make me better, inshallah, all of us.
I think, yeah, I just want to reiterate this because, you said wake up and do a prayer. And actually, when you first wake up, the first thing that you should say is Alhamdulillah, الذي أحيانا بعدما أماتنا وإليه النشور. So you're already starting the day by being grateful to Allah that He's allowed you to wake up and have another chance to worship Him and get on with your day. And then, technically speaking, if you're waking up, you should be waking up to Fajr. Even if you've missed Fajr in the time of Fajr, the first thing you want to do when you wake up is to pray Fajr. So technically speaking, you shouldn't actually check your phone, maybe only for the time, but you shouldn't check your phone at all. And you should actually just get up, pray, do the supplication, get up, do the wudu, get up, do the prayer. During the prayer, you're actually showing gratitude and being grateful to Allah, you're remembering Allah. So that already puts you in a sort of a state that is amazing. And then after that, you can, crack on with your day and start opening emails or even maybe read Quran. Do all of these things that help you out, even go to the gym. Maybe if you can do all of these things before you actually go and sit down and look at your phone and reply to messages and start comparing your life to others, that will have inshallah, a very positive impact. And obviously one of the routines that I try and teach people or tell people that they should do is actually, if you can, wake up just before Fajr, pray Tahajjud, go to the masjid, pray Fajr, do Adhkar al-Sabah, which is the morning supplications, read Quran, go to the gym, then start your day. And I think if people are able to do this, that's amazing. And if you're somebody who can incorporate cold showers between these situations as well, just to rub off all that, negative thoughts, and cold showers are known to have many benefits, alhamdulillah. It just wakes you up. If you can incorporate all of these things, then believe me, your day is always amazing. For me personally, when I do all of these things in the morning, my day is always so much better than when I don't do. And obviously, we're all human. Consistency and discipline is something that we all try and implement, but I'm just sharing this to add to your points. And the evenings, I think, are also very important, like you said. Even there's a hadith where it's like, once you've paid the Isha, just khalas, go home and don't do anything else, have that as like the final thing. So if you can even implement that, that's amazing. Go pray Isha, then come home, do a little bit of journaling, maybe even read some more Quran, sit down with Allah on your own, and then go to sleep. I think that's amazing. Okay, bro. Just before I let you go, inshallah, we're going to do some quick fire round questions just to have a little bit of fun with you. Yeah, go ahead.
Can I share something that just popped into my mind as I was listening to you? There is one thing that I share with my clients, and it's subconscious journaling is what I call it. They should set their phones 5 random alarms or use an app that randomly alarms them. And at the moment that the alarm goes off, you write exactly what was going on in your mind. You do this 5 times a day for 7 days. And what this does is it gives you access to what you're subconsciously thinking. So if you don't know what's holding you back, and you don't know what's your biggest worry, stress, anxiety is, implement that. So 5 times throughout the day, randomly journaling what you're thinking at that moment, not 5 minutes ago, not 2 hours ago. No, at the moment that the alarm is going off, you're going to write it down. 7 days over, you're going to analyze, you're going to look at everything, and you're going to pick the one that's most reoccurring, and you're going to focus on healing, on improving that aspect. That's your biggest, if you target the biggest thing that you found out, that's going to give you the fastest leverage, like the biggest leverage you can have to change.
That's amazing advice. I might try that actually. That's amazing advice. Thank you so much for that tip. I might have to try that and see what I come out with. That could be interesting. Okay then, Jazakallah khair for that. Let's do the quick fire rounds then. Do you prefer burger or pizza?
Burger.
Burger, cool. Do you put your socks on before or after your trousers when you're getting ready?
I try to not put any socks on. I'm like socks free man.
Nice. Okay. Do you brush your teeth before or after breakfast?
I mouthwash in the morning before breakfast, and after brush.
Okay, nice. Do you prefer movies or series when you have the time?
Good question. Never thought about it. I guess it depends on what it is. There are certain movies that I wish it were series because it has a good hook.
Yes.
And there are series that I'm like, okay, I got the gem by.
Yeah, I completely hear that. That's fine. Do you prefer personal development books, novels, maybe autobiographies?
For me, I find anything that is helpful. I don't like self-help books. I used to read a lot, but it's topic specific, not for pleasure.
Okay, nice. Are you a ketchup or mayo or a different sauce maybe?
Let's go with mayo.
Mayo, yeah. Okay, nice. And final question for today: do you prefer being a business owner or an employee?
Business owner.
Business owner. And no one would have guessed that one, hey? Jazakallah khair for being on the podcast today. Just before I let you go, obviously I'm going to attach all your handles below this video somewhere on YouTube. But if you would like to just give a shout out to where people can find you as well, that might be helpful as well. So if you want to just let people know how to find you, where to find you, that'd be great.
Thank you very much. So the fastest way for you and the most updated version is to go facebook.com/BML Osman. That's OSMAN. That's my Facebook profile. Anytime I update any social media, it's in there. That's where I'm mainly present. You can just DM me. I don't bite. I will answer, but I don't sugarcoat. So if you DM me, know that I'm going to be very real with you.
Amazing. And obviously we'll share that all here, and I'll even put a link to your group as well for them to find you and in case they need to see you. And on that note, Jazakumullah khair for tuning into today's episode. Inshallah, I'll see you guys in the next episode. Inshallah, if you found great value in this episode today, I absolutely loved it. And inshallah, we'll see you guys soon. Subhanak ya Rabbi wa hamdik. La ilaha illa ant astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Jazakumullah khair for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.